Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Hi, welcome to another episode of Ricky Says, Dana Says. I am Ricky,
I am Dana.
and we are R&D.
And for some odd reason, we've decided to do a show at almost 1 o'clock in the morning during a thunderstorm.
We're very silly.
Stupid. The word is stupid.
I prefer silly.
Last episode we talked about why we don't review certain shows. Not even why we won't, but why we said we were going to stick mostly with original works and original interpretations of existing works. This week we want to talk about how to not get reviewed. If you follow our blog, we talked about how to get reviewed. We wanted to kind of riff on that and talk about things where things have gone sideways and people have done things that has kind of just led to no review happening. Disclaimer time. These are like our hot take opinions. They don't include opinions of anybody we've ever worked with, and obviously these aren't opinions of other critics because we don't know what other critics think. It's up to them to decide what their own limitations are, what their criteria are. Some critics are even more strict than we are.
A lot more strict.
So like we might actually be the nice ones.
Some of them have had people begging them on Twitter, and they'll just go like, no, and we're like, I don't know. We do review all of that.
Yeah, so like we try not to say no unless our calendar's full. And so we've been, except for the original works thing, we try not to say no unless our calendar's full. But these are things that have happened to lead to something.
Led to a review getting canceled
or just being missed, or we thought we were going to be able to review it, something went wrong, stuff like that. So we're going to go through it, and these are just our hot takes on it. So the first one is not inviting us at all.
Yep. We often say we're like vampires. We have to be invited into your building.
In fact, what our rules on our website on our criticism are called our vampire rules. Because of that fact. A lot of times, especially when we were hyper local, people would just assume we would come to shows. And the thing is, we didn't want to do that because for us, the closest theater is still 45 minutes away.
A lot of times. We're in this weird geographic oddity where like every theater that we used to review is at least 30 minutes away. Equally, like north 30 minutes away, south 30 minutes away.
See, I said 45. You just
30 to 45 minutes away. Sorry, it's 30 minutes when you get on the expressway, 45 when you use the Pike. That's a Jersey math equation. You won't get it.
The point is, it's far enough away that, like, if we got in our car, went, and there wasn't a seat with our name on it, that would be a big issue. And then we're driving the same distance back home.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of work for something that no one, that's a lot of work for nothing.
And it's also, when back in the days, I wouldn't say the word desperate, but back when we would go maybe a month without getting a show or something. We've done that where we've gone all the way up using the Parkway all the way up, and then we just kind of hoped the show we were invited when we got there.
Yeah, we hoped they would let us in,
and we don't want to do that anymore. That was nerve wracking. If there ever was a definite definition of the word nerve wracking and theater critics, it's driving all the way up 45 minutes, not knowing if you're gonna
be
have
let
show.
in the door. When it comes to digital theater, that happens a lot less, but we still get the occasional like, "Hey, I don't really want you to come review. Just come watch. I want to hear your thoughts." We're not stupid.
We kind of know that, and this happens to us all the time nowadays. But we got so used to it. But back in the day, we kind of got this feeling that anytime we would say anything about your show, you were immediately going to post it and use it as a quote, like we reviewed it.
Yeah.
And you didn't even invite us.
And we don't mind that now because we know it's coming. But back in the day, we were naive enough to like, oh, well, maybe they're just asking because they really just want to know our thoughts. No.
Now we've gotten so used to it that we put our quotes on Instagram. You can go on Instagram and we're starting to put more quotes.
Or like if we're talking to a friend about their show and we're like, yeah, blah blah blah. Yeah, you can totally quote us.
Yeah.
You know, we don't care anymore.
Like our emails with Queen City Flash that like we said.
I love how I said do not mention people by name on the Hot Take show, and you mentioned somebody by name.
Totally not those people. I totally deny everything I just said. But even emails we've sent to people have been quoted before.
Anxiety, I said. Anxiety.
I'm the reason that they're gonna die an early death, and it'll be from a coronary, because I've said something so embarrassing. You'll just see. So yeah.
No names.
Yes, man.
Anyway, so we've gotten used to the fact that people are going to quote us.
Mm-hmm.
But when people say, oh, I don't want to invite you as a critic, I just want to hear your thoughts, we're a critic whether we want to be or not.
Yeah.
That's just par for the course. And so if we show up to a show and we say something about it, that's now gospel about what we thought about it. And so we don't review shows if we're not expressly invited. And if we were going to see a show on our own dime, as I come from a military family, if we see a show as civilians, as I like to call it,
yeah,
we would probably not even say we were there, because just showing up to a show is an opinion or a review.
We've literally thought of times of like having a dummy email account, so when we see shows as civilians, you wouldn't even know we're there. Like we'd be easy to, like we would hide. We'd be just walking through the door. But we've had that problem where we've been invited to a show, had to see it as civilians, and then we ended up writing a review. We've talked about a lot of things of what happens. We've had times where we felt like we were invited, and then we were told that, oh no, I'm so sorry, I didn't really invite you. It was like, yeah, you totally did. You totally did.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, you got it.
Without naming names, which one was that again?
That was the one in a certain place near Missouri. At a certain college.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Good times.
Good times.
Good times.
Yeah.
Memories. Okay. Next up on the list of how not to get reviewed.
This is a big one.
Our note says ticket sites and codes. Obviously, digital theater, everything is ticket sites and codes. What we mean is ticket. Scoot closer. I need you to lean on. We mean ticket sites and codes not working.
Yeah, we know we have how many passwords and usernames do we have?
I've lost count.
We are in about 1 million different ticketing sites, and some in Brazil. I mean, I had to log into one in Africa one time. We have seen a million ticketing sites.
No two are alike, and they all have their own quirks, and they all have their own way of working.
And things that don't work.
Ticketing sites are all terrible. Sorry.
Some only work on a desktop, and when we were working mainly from our phones, that was always fun, weird.
Mm-hmm.
Some work best mobile. Some of them are what I like to call the one-click wonders. It's like, oh, okay, but the biggest reason why we don't like ticketing sites is all of them have a different way that comps work.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, if you love us, you've just sent us a Zoom link or a direct link to the show.
If you love us, send us a direct link.
If you love us, it's in our. If you go to our blog, rndyounghowze.tumblr.com, and look at how to get reviewed, you'll see send us a direct link. We will love you forever. Now, if you really hate us and you really want us to die, like explode,
or
suffer, give us a promo code that doesn't work. Because we know, and the weirdest thing is we know that you didn't know, because there's no way you can test this. We have to say that out loud. It's like, we know you're not doing this to frustrate us. You totally think it works.
We've learned the hard way promo codes don't work. And I'll say this. Pick your battles with promo codes, right? Mm-hmm. Like, there are some times where you have to use a promo code. For whatever reason, just the software you're using to keep proper counts or whatever makes you use a promo code.
Oh, yeah.
We get it. But just know that every ticketing software has the location of where they need you to put the promo code differently. And they all decided to put it in some sort of hidden location.
Oh my God.
On like the bottom corner and the tiniest print you've ever seen. I'm not kidding. There was one website, I forget which one, I will not mention them by name, that has like the tiniest print at the bottom, and you have to like click on that and then type the promo code there. Even the ones I like, the promo code isn't in the I thought promo codes for buying tickets would be like promo codes when you're shopping. I'm a shopaholic. Mm-hmm. I know how to use a promo code, right? You go shopping and the promo code is right before you check out. No ticketing software is like shopping. Even the website I like the most has their promo code at the top of the page that you get the ticket. And so you have to find it first, click there, add the promo code, and then add everything to your basket.
And there was one time we saw one, I forget which one this was, where you literally it got to the point where you're putting in your credit card information. Oh. If we get this wrong, we've paid for a show, therefore we can't review you.
Yeah.
And so we've had almost put in our credit card information, and then the promo code came up and it was nothing. And here's the problem is, like, if with 200 shows, if we did that and got accidentally charged or something like that,
we're screwed.
Yeah. And so the biggest thing is, what I would say is, we know that you don't know that the promo code doesn't work. Most often you wouldn't give us a promo code if you didn't know it was going to work. What we are just telling you with just the ultimate, like, begging from you is just the direct link is fine. I know there's sometimes, like, if you do Broadway on demand or something, that you gotta give us a promo code. I said names again. There's certain places where you're trying to
Broadway on demand is so public, I'll allow that one. But, like, yeah, there's a couple websites. But then there's, like, situations where you don't have to give us a promo code. We've had a situation recently where you request comps, right? And then the artist is supposed to write you back with a ticket for the show. Mm-hmm. Well, some have written back with comps and tickets, and it's been fine. Some have written back with promo codes,
which have had a 50% chance of working.
It's been not fun. And my question would be, why risk it? Why risk that you're getting, like, we're patient people and we've been through the ringer when it comes to all of this. And usually we'll write to you at least once and be like, hey, this is some bullshit. Something's up. Can you check on it for us, right? But you're going to every now and then deal with a critic or a or worse yet, somebody paying money, or somebody who's like a big name who's going to point you to somebody else who's paying money, or a producer or some, you know what I mean? And you're risking it. And so they use the code. It doesn't work. They have other things to do.
Yeah.
They're just going to move along. And I don't blame them, but that's not your fault. And so ask yourself, can I avoid using a code? If the code, is there a way for me to check the code? Is there a friend I can sacrifice to the gods of code? Ask your best friend. Ask your spouse.
Enlist your friends, spouses, loved ones, children, young teenage children to be your promo code checkers. Just set up a fake audience member profile. Have one of your most best, wonderful, sees every show patron, like Patron Smith, who are a patron fake name, who comes in and tries every promo code and just gets a seat, an invisible seat that doesn't exist. But now you know the promo code works.
At least then you'll know. And then before you give it to me and I'm your beta tester and you do not want Dana Young-Howze,
we'll get down
being
to that
your beta tester.
Yeah.
You just don't.
That is and I think one of the biggest things that comes from is just sometimes you get so wrapped into us from a production setting, you forget what it's going to look like from the audience side, or what tech people say the end user interface. Is that a lot of times we've noticed that it's been hard. All of you deserve gold medals, blue ribbons, trophies, everything, or just fully funded arts for forever.
Yeah.
You deserve like the biggest medal because y'all been doing this. Y'all have been actually doing this, and you've been in the trenches. And sometimes it's very hard to take that last 10 minutes to just pretend you're an audience member and look like what it's going to look like from your end. And so you're hearing this all from especially with ticketing. I've worked house management before. I've run a theater before. You only hear problems when there have been problems. There's never a time you've just got to see a problem before it happens. So fully, you're doing the Lord's work, but check your promo code one more time.
Or two more times.
A million more times. It could help. It could never hurt.
I'm just saying one sacrificial best friend is all you need.
That isn't us.
Yeah. We're not good friends. We're terrible friends.
We're horrible
Please
friends.
Don't make us check your code.
We suck at friends.
Dana Young-Howze is a terrible beta tester.
Yeah.
I'm mean. I'm very mean.
And we charge money.
So we said ticketing sites and codes. Did we talk about everything with ticketing sites? We went off on codes.
We went through the links too, not just the links. We did a side quest there.
We did a side quest on not giving us the links?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just a quick side. I'm gonna go back a second. Not giving us the links. A lot of times people don't realize they haven't.
Yeah.
Right? Like you'll invite us to a show, you'll give us everything. You'll be in contact with us and it'll be the day of the show and there's no link. Like send the link 2 or 3 days out. And I think there's this mythos happening in digital theater that for some odd reason me, Dana Young-Howze the critic, I'm throwing me under the bus. Somehow has a million friends who all just want a free ticket to your play.
Yes.
And I'm just gonna be like a rapper all of a sudden, and I'm just throwing out all the links to all of them. That has never happened.
And I know sometimes
never happened.
I know sometimes if you're licensing an existing work from like one of the big name publishing companies, they want you to go on their streaming service, or if they give you a link, they're gonna steal your firstborn, or like Rampage or Village, or descend upon you as a plague if you don't keep these links. Like if they find that link somewhere, they'll be mean to you. I understand that, but a lot of times just giving us the link early, and also we've come up with this on occasion, know that when you change one thing, the link changes.
Oh God, yes.
There's been people, there's been some Yate who married to this person who has changed the links accidentally. I don't know who they are. She's a very wonderful girl. I mean, she's beautiful, smart, witty. She's all around a great bloke. But sometimes when you just say, "Oh, we'll stream it from here," or "We'll add this," you've changed the link and you didn't know it. We've gone to some dead links and found out that they were complete. They were completely streaming. They were fine. Everyone had a great time, but they were on a different thing, and we got the wrong link.
Yeah, we didn't have the new link that was changed.
It was the one that was emailed to us, even, and
it's not the right one. So, like, yeah.
When in doubt, send us a link 2 or 3 times.
It's okay to send us a link early and send it a couple of times. And just know, like, we don't get invited back if we send out our links to many people.
Yeah.
Like, I've never even thought about doing that, even to, like, friends and family. If I tell a friend and family member about the show, I usually point them to where the tickets are at. I've never thought, oh yeah, and here's my critic link, because I know that puts me in a bad position.
Unless we know, sorry.
I was gonna say, puts me in a bad position with all of you, with all the creators. Like that's a big issue.
Unless I know that it's because I'm usually the one putting the links on the site. Unless I know that's the end one, like it's up on YouTube forever, and that's the link that was given to me to put down there. We don't give like the direct show links at all. They don't back and not so much now. Back in the day when stuff was just on YouTube forever. Yeah, I would just say here, and you read the review, now check it out. It's right there. Now a lot of people are locking stuff down, as you should. Get your money. Yeah, like get that stuff. And so we'll always send you to the ticket site. Yeah, that's just good for business.
Ticket site or website. I mean, like, there's no reason to send people to a direct link. And so, yeah, send your critics the links early and often. And yeah, a lot of times we don't get links ahead of time because people are afraid. And I'm just saying, don't be freaked out. Don't be worried that your critic's going to share that's their reputation on the line. And there's a lot of things, critics already have a bad name in the theater world. There's no reason for us to make that worse.
And our reputation comes from being really like the artist's critic, and we stick up for the plucky independent theater. And the worst thing that would happen is if we accidentally became pirates. Yeah, that would be our career killer for us. Now we did that, so like. Ooh, emails.
This is going to be a long one. There's so much stuff with emails. First of all, email us. That's the easiest one.
Just email us at all. rndyounghowze@gmail.com. All day, every day.
All the time.
Yep.
Secondly, I am probably not exaggerating when I say we probably get about 100 emails a week between our 2 mailboxes.
Oh, yeah, that is...
And that's not including our personal lives. Right?
Yeah, not counting our personal lives, and we have to start... We were at a point where we were emailing people and pitching. Ugh. Now we don't do that anymore because we can't.
I literally used to pitch theaters, trying to get into shows we were interested in, shows we thought would be great to write about.
We were doing 10 pitches per one review
because people weren't letting us in, and that's obviously not the case anymore, to the point where we're actually having to tell people no.
Something about when you get sponsored by Tour and do an award show, people just
really name dropper. Anyway, but I'm not lying when I say we probably get about 100 a week.
Yeah.
No exaggeration. That's not me overblowing. Are some of those spam? Yeah, but the problem is I can't always tell the difference between spam and your really important email. And that's kind of what we're talking about now. Is like we want to be able to tell the difference between spam and your really important email. One of the biggest things we can say is we get a lot of press releases.
We do.
And everything from, hey, this show's going up, to, hey, we just hired some guy, or hey, we built a new wall. It's a very nice wall.
Oftentimes we'll also just get the weekly newsletters from we get weekly newsletters from all the way southeast, the southeast part of the country to the other side of the world. There, so we get those subscribed newsletters. We get the press releases. We are on a couple people's press lists where we just get whatever's happening in a certain area, and and they're a press agent that represents 50 theaters.
Yeah, like we'll get somebody who represents a theater coalition, and so we're getting information from every theater in that group, and it's every day.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things I would say is don't just send us a press release. I mean, send us a press release.
Please do.
But one of the things that has helped is when in the comments it says review request, because that's what we know we're looking for. Unfortunately, because we spend a lot of times on critique, we're not really a newspaper. We just don't have the time. We're a two-human operation. And so we don't have time to be like, oh, let's tell you about what's going on in the world of insert theater here. We would love to talk more about the, a theater expanding their building, or a theater of a friend of ours just changed their theater just changed their name. I would love to write a post about that, but it's just not something we have time for. And so when you put review requests, all of a sudden we know to like highlight that email and pay bigger attention to it.
And a lot of times I won't even lie, a lot of times we'll just search review request.
Yeah.
And we'll take, so if you didn't do that, that's a great way to get missed.
Yeah, another thing to do, and it sounds ridiculous, you're going to say, Dana, that's a really weird way to write an email, is actually at the front of your email subject, write a date.
Yeah.
August 2nd, review request, could change your life and could especially change mine.
And even just give us a date range of like August 2nd through 23rd or something.
Yes.
Because that lets us know, especially now that we're doing more monthly editions, if we know that we have a blank slate in August, and then we can go, oh, we'll fit them right here. You'll get in the calendar like tomorrow.
Yeah, it's a better way to get in the calendar. It's a better way to get a response from us, because then we know the date. A lot of times, and if you can't put it in the subject, like that's just uncouth to you, at least put it in the first like paragraph, in the first line, because a lot of times we don't know when things are, and then we have about 2 seconds to look at your press release and decide what we're going to do with it.
Yeah, so on top of like putting review requests, but the date, that the date range that it's going to be. And I would say the other big thing is, what is it?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, even then, like just to dip my toes a little back into what we were talking about last time, is that if you let us know like flashy what you're doing, we love it. If you are doing something that no one else is doing, brag about that.
Huge, yeah.
I will say there's a couple times where, especially since we're plugged in all around the world, I know of like at least 5 shows that are being done by 30 different theaters. And while we haven't gotten review requests from all of them, we've gotten review requests from like 4 of them. And like I said before, we're only going to do that show twice
a year.
Okay. So if you're the one that is, say, being like 100% transcast, I made that example in the blog post. If you're doing it in a weird way, like you're you filming it only on people's cell phones from the audience, you didn't even do a blocking rehearsal, something like that. If everyone's hanging upside down from cranes playing the ukulele while on fire, let us know, because we'll probably go, oh, because we love fringe work. We love there.
Also, put if it's digital early and often.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times we're responding back to people and we don't know whether it's digital, and that always sucks when we can't help them, and it's just because we weren't made clear. And
that is hard. Back in the early days, it was really easy to make that mistake because nobody was in person.
mm-hmm.
And we made the mistake where a couple times we said we were going and then realized really quickly when we didn't get a link that they expected us to be in another state watching the show. And we haven't seen anything in person since January 2019.
No, before then.
Ooh, December 2019.
We literally we quit in January.
Yeah, we did. We didn't see anything.
So yeah, we haven't seen anything in person in a long time, and honestly, I think we're still a bit nervous of sitting in a theater. Not that I don't think theaters aren't doing the right thing, or I don't think that theaters aren't safe. In fact, I would say most of the theaters we know are being way safer than anywhere else you could be.
Most of the theaters we know we would trust you with our lives, trust you there. I just think that we don't know where we would go or what. We don't know if we're in the right headspace, body space, or even like the reviewer space to start in person yet.
We'll see how we're feeling at the end of the month. We have something we're thinking about, but if for now is still,
we have like a list of like things that we've wanted to try, and every month we just
push it
back another month.
So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, so yeah, emails clear. Say it's a review request.
Mm-hmm.
Put the dates either in your subject or high up. Say what's interesting and unique about it. Make that the title of it.
Give us the names of everyone involved in the show. I will tell you, I copy and paste from what you gave me because I'm a chronic name misspeller.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't believe how many times autocorrect has misspelled names like Stephanie, Jessica, or even other names like Ashanti, other things, and they make me look bad. Yeah. My iPhone makes me look like a horrible person. So now what happens is when I write a review, the name is blank. I will copy and paste your name. So if you didn't spell it right, so make sure you get your make sure everything information's right there, it's spelled right. There, that helps everyone in the long run.
We should also say all this sounds really weird, right? Because if you're watching this like 10 years from now, you probably know us. And you're like, but I just write to you and I'm like, hey, Dan and Ricky, you want to come to see my show? And that's worked out. And yeah, that probably will occasionally work out, and that'll be no problem.
These are hard. This is our hard and fast rules we're giving you that have been broken occasionally. But the times they've been broken, like we can count on one hand the times they've been broken, but we've been.
Well, it's not even that how many times it's been broken. It's that sometimes we've missed friends too. Yeah. Sometimes people we completely love and adore have gotten buried by somebody we didn't know.
And that's the other thing to tell you. The reason why these rules are up, we're trying to give you the ways of absolutely when we've missed a show, when all of a sudden we were excited for something and it just got missed. It's usually because one of these things has happened.
Another thing I'll say is like with emails, it doesn't hurt to still do the press release, still do all that, but then bring up like your connection to us, or even if you don't have a connection to us, keep in touch. Like there's a press person who like I've never spoken to her personally, but I know her name because I see her messages all the time.
Yeah.
And so when I see her name, I'm like, oh, okay, she messages me often. She's a real person. This is a real human being.
Mm-hmm.
I know her. Ricky tells a story. I'm stealing the story again.
Oh yeah, they always tell this story.
Of a what was it again?
Casting director at the Actors Theater of Louisville.
See, name dropped.
I know, but you're telling the story this time.
Of a casting director, and this casting director says, what you're going to do is every quarter you're going to send me a lovely headshot and a postcard, and you're going to leave me a lovely note, and I'm going to take this, I'm going to look at it, and I'm going to throw it in the garbage. And you're going to keep doing that, and you're going to do it every quarter from now until the end of time. But then one time they're going to ask me for a blonde, and I'm going to be like, wait, a blonde sent me a nice card. And I'm going to dig through the garbage. I'm going to find your headshot. And then I'm going to give it, and you're welcome. We're not that mean.
We're not that mean.
If you ever feel like sending us a headshot and a card, we will gladly keep them. We actually, like, in our bedroom, on our curtain, we have clothespins.
So we have clothespins with like different cards,
and letters and stuff.
They collect stickers, send us stickers.
I love them.
It's not like we're telling you to bribe us, but we are real people who like.
I really like nice letters and stickers and stuff. But what I tell that story to say, one of the things that helps as you're looking to get reviewed and you're looking to get, as you're looking not to get skipped over, is to constantly be in communication.
Say hi.
Yeah, say hi. Be our friend on Facebook. Don't want to be our friend on Facebook? Fine. At least like our page.
Or bug us.
Bug us. We always say, once you talk to us once, you're now our friend. You can't bug us. And I think people think we're joking.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, there's people who talk to us all the time, and we've seen their shows more than we have others. Why? Because they're in constant communication.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just because we're more aware. And it's easier to be like, oh yeah, so and so told us about that, and we got to keep in touch with their show.
And what we will tell you is, there's been a couple times when we knew there was a few weeks where there was no one's sent us anything,
mm-hmm.
and we will go like, hey, they're having a festival at this time, and we'll email them and say, hey, can we come to your festival? And that's happened on multiple occasions, and those people. The people we ask about stuff like that are people we see them all the time. They let us know what's going down. We can always count on them for having a review
when things are a little dry or we don't have much to do. So yeah,
mm-hmm.
It's always important to kind of keep in touch. I know, and I mean that's just for us. Other critics might be like, oh my god, they're contacting us all the time. But for us, please contact us all the time.
Yeah.
It's the only way we'll know what to do, how to talk, whether or not we need to talk to you, whether or not you have something going on. So that's the other thing I would say about emails.
And I think the one important thing to say about emails, I don't know if we wrote it down, is don't Facebook messages.
Oh no, we skipped over that one. Yeah. Okay. No, this is a whole other category on his up. Email only.
Yeah.
Why do we say don't Facebook, Instagram, Twitter messages?
No DMs.
No, do not slide into our DMs. Why do we say that? Are we just mean, horrible people who aren't friendly? No. If you want to talk about something personal, we're cool.
If you want to say hi, like we said before, we've had many people just say hi.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Like, say hi, check in on us, sweet. But when you put business in our DMs, it gets buried.
We never see it again.
Buried hard. And at first I thought I was exaggerating this when I would say this. I was like, oh, maybe I'm just saying it because I'm a jerk. Like, I'm always convinced I'm a jerk, and then I'm just saying it because I don't want to deal with people. And then all of a sudden, I couldn't find something that I knew was important. And I couldn't even remember who sent it. But I knew somebody in my friends list sent us something. And it was happening that week. And I had no recollection of where it was, who it was, or what it was about. And so I'm digging through my freaking Facebook DMs trying to find it. And you're just like, oh my God, where did it go? And I'm sitting there with a ton of messages from because when Ricky and I are apart, we're like they'll go to the grocery store and I'll be at home and I'll be like, no, make sure you grab the milk or whatever.
Yeah.
We message each other. Friends from other parts of my life, we message each other. I'm trying to think, like everybody.
Or if it's somebody we've been talking to for a while, you have to go through their DMs and like go through like the thing they said like a month ago.
Oh my god, yeah.
And now we've lost it. We've missed it.
It's gone.
And that's another reason why we say email us, because also if you don't know who we are, if like you've just seen us around and you don't know what our email is, it's okay to give us a Facebook message and say, hey, how may I contact you about a review? We will always say, here, you could give us an impassioned speech about your show. What you'll get is, hi, could you please email this to rndyounghowze@gmail.com, and we won't do anything about it till we see it in our email.
It's just safer that way.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, it just gets buried, and it depresses the living heck out of me. I feel like I've failed people because I can't remember where it went.
We are at the point now where we have so many emails, we have to have a note in our notes app that just outlines emails we opened. Like if I open an email that they haven't seen, I have to write a little note of like, oh, so-and-so emailed us, we have to do this. And that's the only way, or else I'll be like, I saw it and walk away, but they didn't see it. All they see is just no new emails.
And so I think we got no emails that day, which is impossible because that never happens.
Yeah.
We have never gone a day with no email.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we've had to figure. Yeah, someone's yawning.
Uh-huh.
I had to do the show late. Yeah, we've had to figure out ways to make sure we clearly get messages from people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of times people think you're just being a jerk when you say like, oh, don't DM me, don't, only email me. And it's really not. So much stuff on social media gets lost where you're having a conversation with a different friend. And it's like, oh, well, Facebook lets you search through your DMs. Yeah, but it's not a fine-tuned tool. It's like trying to do sewing with a gigantic mallet or something.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know the metaphor. So, yeah, it's not fun. And I'd rather not. And an email, it helps me out a little more, and I'm able to make folders. I can't make folders in DMs. I can make a folder that says, festivals or whatever month it is, month and year, and like I know everything for the month of August 2021 is in this folder and it's there. I can delete things that are unimportant, where DMs, like I might delete someone's DM and that had the message in it and it's like it's gone.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, especially when we were getting links and codes and stuff.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, those were a horrible day.
Don't send people show codes in DMs. Don't.
Especially if you're like me and you delete them the minute you don't need them anymore. And I've always deleted them way too early.
Oh my god. And then they're gone. They're just gone, and you're just like, I don't even know what to do to get them back.
Yep.
I've dug through so many things trying to find something. It's not fun. Yeah. So yes,
just no DMs. We're not. I know we're as cute as Lizzo, but don't slide into our DMs.
Just don't. Okay. Not starting on time. This is a weird one.
This is a very weird one, and Dana has the best kind of explanation for it. It's just very much of like, a lot of times we schedule 3 shows back to back.
Or more.
And a lot of times, I know you have to hold the house for 5. That's not what we're talking about.
No.
Sometimes you even have to hold for 10. That's not what we're talking about.
Nope.
What we're talking about is when we've just been 30 minutes.
Usually we will give you a half hour before we will, okay, bye. And then we're gone. and we will never see your show again.
Mm-hmm.
Unless, and this is the other thing, so these are kind of a two for, I got to go back because we wrote it down. Not starting on time and not announcing to the audience that you're having issues.
Oh, yes.
Because, like, sometimes I think people are thinking, oh, if we announce we have issues, people will know something's going wrong, and they'll be upset with us. I'm way more upset when I don't know something's going wrong and I'm staring at a black screen.
Yeah.
Like,
or the sound's glitchy
or something.
There. It's very easy just to put up a technical difficulties overlay or something.
Or have someone on your team. You should always have somebody in your team in Messenger saying, hi, I'm team member so-and-so. We're having technical issues. Please give us a few minutes. That's all I need.
Yeah,
fine.
We've seen so many times where just like it just showed a technical difficulties we held for 10, 20 sometimes, and the show just went back on.
And we've been fine.
It was an amazing show, an award-winning show even, and we just...
But when you don't start on time and you don't tell people that something's up, and you don't inform them that something's going wrong, or you don't like say, hey, we're having issues. Like, not starting on time, I always consider like around the 15-minute mark. Yeah. My brain's like, all right, your show is supposed to last an hour and a half, and I scheduled another show for 2 hours after this.
Mm-hmm.
Do I need to cancel that show or your show? Because that's just the way we have to think. And so I think sometimes people don't realize that people didn't dedicate their day to just your show.
Yeah.
And so, like, even if you're not, your audience probably isn't as crazy as us and not planning 2 or 3 shows a day unless they're at a fringe.
At a fringe, then yeah, everyone does that.
Then everyone's doing that, and you really need to reconsider how long you're taking. But like, they still have other things to do. I can imagine, like, if you had an appointment, if you just wanted to get to bed, if you had work in the morning, if you had a favorite TV show, if you just didn't want to still be in a show on half an hour longer than you had intended.
Mm-hmm.
And so telling people that, hey, I'm having an issue, admitting that you're falling behind, that's way more understanding, and you'll get way more sympathy.
Oh, yeah.
And way more cooperation than if you just try to bulldog through and try to pretend like nothing's wrong when your audience knows that they're looking at absolutely nothing.
I know and this is another thing where, and Dana brought up how, like, they're a bad beta tester. This is another part of, like, when things go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
There's been times where I get really kind of upset when, like, things are going wrong in the show, because in my mind I just want to leave, and it's not because I'm mad that things went wrong. In my mind, I get sympathetic for the producers,
mm-hmm.
the show, and I go, oh, you wouldn't want a reviewer sitting here watching all this stuff. I'll leave. They'll invite us to the next one, and then we'll come back like we didn't see it. Now, there's been a couple times when that stuff has happened, but Dana is very much like, no, we'll just watch. Or we ignore a lot of glitches. We know what's a glitch that you can control, and we know what's stuff that they should have taken some simple precautions.
Yeah.
But there's been times where it's been really bad. We end up being, because we're great sports, we end up being like the reviewer is a beta tester, and we're talking with them. It's like, no, when I press this button, this happens. And we're like 2 hours into a review of watching a show, and we're on contacting people like, oh, I don't see anything. I don't see anything. Or when we do this there, and I start to feel really bad because I know what other reviewers would do. They would have just walked out. And so a lot of times I feel this kind of anxiety of like, oh, what's going on in their heads? This is happening, and the reviewer's just right there.
Yeah.
It feels awkward to me. It must feel awkward to you. Let's just.
Well, and I would say, like, something we don't have on the list, but is important, is know your tech,
mm-hmm.
and know what works and what doesn't. One of the things that we had in the beginning of the pandemic is we only had our 2 cell phones.
Oh yeah.
We had our 2 iPhone 8s and that's it. Well, iPhone and the service Twitch do not like each other.
No.
They just don't. There's even a Twitch app. They still hate each other. Because if somebody streams in 1080p,
yeah,
it doesn't show up on the iPhone.
Not at all.
It just doesn't. I don't know why. Nobody's figured out why. Now, if you play it back in 1080, it's fine. It'll play back beautifully. But if you're trying to watch it live, you have 2 choices. Either you can watch and you can't hear anything, or you can hear and you can't see anything.
And that's one of the things I was alluding to, is that there was a time where all of a sudden we were now being treated to a radio show that they didn't intend to be a radio show. And oftentimes this stuff happens and the people on the other side don't know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, do we tell them they're there? And I'm just like...
Well, and in this case, we did tell them.
Yeah.
And I would say, like, in that case, they were like, oh, we'll send you something later. They never did. We never heard from them again.
Yeah.
We never spoke to them again. And I don't know if they just thought we were jerks, but really, it just didn't work. And that's why I would say, like, another way to not get reviewed would be to not know your technology. Know what works with what audience. Know what works best. A couple of shows we've run into, and this makes us really bummed out, are really great and interesting shows, but they require you download an app. Or go to a special website.
And there was no way that anyone has warned us before that this is what we have to do. A lot of times, if it's stuff like that, we will definitely get back to it, or we'll assign it like a perfect time. But then if you're like the 4th show in a line of just like, they were like, press the button and press the link.
Or you were the second show in a 4-show day.
Yeah, and now we don't have time for this.
Yeah. I would say, like, the key to fixing that one is include it in your description.
Mm-hmm.
And very big and very at the top of your description, say, we use a special website to create an immersive experience. Lean into that weird, because
that becomes part of the review now. That becomes a positive,
not a negative.
To the point where, and I've gotten to the point where I feel like sometimes we're missing the next, like, evolution in digital theater, because a lot of times we're like, oh, I don't have some time to see something weird.
Like, for a show like that where you're using a new technology, you're using a new website, you created an app, for Christ's sake, we want to see it, but we have to schedule almost half a day to mess around with it. Because
get to know it, download it, sign up for our 50 millionth, like, account for something. God. I used to say that when I was blogging before that I had like 1 million like accounts for 1 million things I only used once, and now with digital theater it's the exact same thing. We have like 1 million accounts for a service we did one time,
and we don't even know if we can get back into them.
Yep.
So like I would say lean into that harder, make that very clear, make that very obvious. Like, tell people what it is that that you're doing, that you're using special tech. Because another thing we run into is we still do a lot of our work from our 2 cell phones. We have a computer now, but to get the internet, it's still internet from our cell phones. Yeah. And so, like, if your special website needs to be done from a computer, and a special kind of computer, and it has to be from a certain... You have to do this on Chrome, on a certain computer, on a certain time of day. We're probably not going to do it.
Yeah.
It's not your fault. It's just not us.
I have a list of stuff that we've had to put to the back burner that I'm going to see. We're going to try to make time to do it again, but that's the problem. You got to let us know ahead of time so we can make time, and it just becomes a experimental day, or it becomes a this day.
Well, and I think when you put that many limitations on your audience, to say that this only works with this web browser, this only works on a desktop, this only works on this. You're squishing them so much that, like, or they could just watch the show that shows up on YouTube.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And you're allowed to do that. Do your experimental shtick. Don't let anyone stop you. But don't be surprised when people don't get it. And don't be surprised when it's like, okay, I have to make a choice. The show on YouTube or the one that requires me to log into my computer, make sure that I'm on the exact web browser. What do you mean I have to use Firefox? No one uses Firefox. Is Firefox even around? I thought it died. You know what I mean? Like that.
Right?
Like those are the things going in my mind as I'm going through these different shows. So definitely keep that in mind as you're creating them. Oh, where are we at?
We just talked about emails, and we just talked about things going a bit too long. I think we're getting.
Okay, I think we're asking us to pay and being combative.
This is almost multiple times. We had a time right around the fall of last year, and we've had a couple times when we were just starting out, where people. I don't even want to say they don't know how a reviewer works, but it became to the point where these people were so adamant in their belief they made us check other, like, they're the reason we had the vampire rules in the first place.
Yeah.
And one of them is the idea that reviewers walk into the place and pay for tickets.
Now, I understand that if you're not us and you work for like the New York Times, the Washington Post, you might have a budget. Like you might be given X amount of dollars a quarter or whatever, and you can spend it on whatever shows to fill in so many reviews.
And even they don't. Back up in the like I'm going to say the big cities, like I'm the Southern girl that I used to be. They get press previews. They just walk in because they're invited and they get passes. And so you would get these people who say like, well, if I gave away a free ticket, there's a seat that I could be making money. Or they would do this thing and it would hit my brain of like, and we would be talking back and forth. We would be arguing back and forth. I'd be like, it's usually just understood that reviewers don't pay there. And I'm not being like I don't want to pay to see a show. I would love to pay to see a show. I just can't review it if I paid to see it. And
I would say let's just skip it. Mm-hmm. I mean, how many times did I just say let's leave them alone?
Yeah.
But you really wanted to see it, or the easiest way I found is to talk to someone else.
Yeah, a lot of times, on a few times, because Dana's very mean, because I'm like, if I really want to see it, I'll try it. There, I just can't review it. And Dana was just like, well, that's somebody that, well, you just said that you did not want to get reviewed today. And a lot of times when we really wanted to see it there, we've actually talked to somebody else. Like we've emailed the playwright, we say that we can get permission from anyone whose name is on the program.
Yep.
Or attends like the weekly production meetings. And so a lot of times when we haven't been allowed in or they to pay, someone else has just given us a ticket.
It's best not to tell me no.
Yeah. But yeah, asking us to pay usually just shows that, like, I'll also say a lot of times the people who ask us to pay are also the people who have let other things slide and weren't going to be doing something we would be reviewing anyway. And also it shows that you might not know what a reviewer does.
It's not even like they're asking us to pay. Like the one person we've had issues with time and time again wasn't just asking us to pay. It was like this weird, oh, here's a discount coupon.
For like, it would do the thing where like we would it would be dinner theater, but we'd be paying for like, we getting a discount on the dinner portion or something.
Something like that.
And it's one of those things like, I'll even say this, if we're doing a hot take, if I have to pay and then review your show, I'm going to be meaner than I am now.
Well,
I'm going to be horribly mean.
Well, and then, like, is it a review? Like, you see a lot of times where people's friends buy a ticket and then write a review. And is that really a criticism? Or is that your friend just bragging about you because they love you?
And, like, in like a Yelp style world, or like people who write Facebook reviews or Yelp reviews about a certain theater, they're more talking about their customer experience. When we're talking but sitting between the audience and the artist, trying to make sense of it all. And all of a sudden, if I pay tickets, I'm just talking about, like, oh, these seat cushions are not comfortable at all, and the bathrooms, I couldn't even get into the bathrooms. I'm not coming here again. That's where we're really getting to. If I paid for a ticket, because I'm talking about the cost of the ticket versus the experience I've gotten, not what is the artist trying to do? How is this kind of work? What's going on?
I guess that's the thing. Like, I feel like as critics, we talk about the show, not the theater. And when you buy a ticket, you're talking about the theater. And you're talking about the building. And you're talking about how the experience in total was.
And I will say, when you ever see us in person, the one thing we do pay for is concessions.
Oh yeah,
especially when we were reviewing High School, and they had pretzels, hot dogs,
Sour Patch Kids,
and slushies and candy in there. We went broke. We would go broke doing concessions. That's our way. We feel like we can support our, like, local businesses, and also support the kids, and usually, like, scholarship funds and stuff like that. You'll always see us buy concessions if you have it. The concessions and merch. We will bring money. Let us know when it's going on.
Yep.
But that leads forward to the next thing. They'll make sure you don't get reviewed again from us.
Yeah.
This is how we'll wrap up.
Don't be combative.
No.
We've gone toe to toe with quite a few people, and I mean, not since we've started with digital theater. I don't think we've had a true toe to toe fight.
Not anymore, but it's also one of those times where what used to happen, and this is the 4 or 5 times this has happened for us. We will say something in our review, and the next day we'll get a not this, but a this Facebook rant. They came in our messengers. They slid in our DMs, or sometimes
the other reason we don't like people talking to us in our DMs.
And it'll be something that we got wrong, and it's a long rant about what's wrong, what's this, and reviewers get this all the time. I've heard other, like, reviewers, like, just recently in one of the West Coast places, they talk about, like, they get stuff all the time, and they very rarely talk back to them. Now, I will preface to say, if we got something wrong factually,
yeah, we're in the wrong. We'll fix it.
But these were often people who were just like, it became more of an ego boost of, like, we didn't say something about them and their ego.
This story we tell a lot, and it's the two wolves Into the Woods story.
Yes.
This person went toe to toe with us, explaining to us how we were completely wrong for saying that she put an actress who we said was so amazing they should have gotten a lead. This is what we said about
it. It was
actress.
Her dance captain too.
We said this actress was so amazing. We don't know why she was put in a part that literally doesn't exist.
And had like 2 lines
when she should have gotten a lead. And that's what was our critique.
And that's so Hello Little Girl and Into the Woods became
a duet.
Became a duet. And one of them was going after the 3 Little Pigs. The other one was going after Little Red Riding Hood. And I felt really bad because, like, okay, I knew like 4 or 5 parts you could have put her in. And so and this person came back and went really long about how, no, that's allowed. And we've seen it there, this and this and this. And I'm like,
another pro tip, do not say anything I can Google.
Don't make Dana Google. If the Dana has to Google,
it's a bad day for you.
I've had to sometimes stop them from Googling in the middle of a show.
I have Googled in the middle of
and I've had to stop and say, no, because this is not good. if they have to Google like something's messed up, but they Googled it and we had the misfortune or the pleasure or something of seeing Into the Woods 1, 2, 3. We had reviewed it 3 times that year. And we've had to back in the day.
They picked the wrong year because that was the year of the multiple Into the Woods.
And back in the day, like right before I think right before our wedding, we saw a professional production.
Mm-hmm.
Back when they had their old blog, we went up to New York, saw the Disney movie
production,
and so we know everything about Into the Woods. Unfortunately,
you picked the one musical we know,
and so when we were very like, no, they're not. And so that's and also, and then there's another story. We went to go see a place once. I begged to get into this theater. It was a school where the students were directing the play. The students were directing amazing production, and it was a play I'd read before, and I hated it. And then I came and saw the kids watch it, and I went on and on about how well the kids did it. And then the very next day, we are in the middle of Walmart, and we are in the parking lot. We were putting our groceries in, and I get a Facebook message going,
And it's always
a multiple message. It's always a Facebook message. It's always a multiple scroller, and it was always, and went on and on and on. And like Dana's like, "Oh, you messed up and didn't name somebody." It was very much like we didn't. And Dana's like, "Oh, you didn't name someone. You got some name wrong." I said, "No, that's not what you're talking about." He's mad that I didn't put his name in it.
We were trying to only name kids. Somehow we messed up and named other adults, which we weren't intending to do. We were only going to name the kids.
And it was actually only the name of an adult because and it was because it was, their program was illegible. It was a bifold 2 thing, and when I looked there at the thing, I was like, oh, and so I started naming like the student directors. I named the actors there, and we named a sound person that was right. It was like student, other name, and then adult, and his name was not on the program at all. It was a very 4-page program, cover, program.
Well, even add that we weren't naming adults.
We weren't naming adults, period, and his name wasn't on it. And so he got very, very livid and he started talking about how he's been doing this for 20 years. He's been tirelessly doing this. He's never gotten credit for it. No one gets credit for it. And one of the reasons why you shouldn't do this, 1, I don't care.
I really don't.
1, I don't care. 2, we have a no edit clause now where unless we got something factually wrong, and the problem is he had no artistic bearing over the show at all. Him being there had nothing to do with our review at all. So in my mind, nothing was factually inaccurate. Everyone who did that we talked about had sole agency over the play. And so he wanted us to edit this and this came like the combative people always wanted us to edit something based on their opinion that we got wrong.
It was never like we misspelled a name. It was always you didn't mention somebody in a way I believe they should be mentioned. One of the things we don't talk about a lot, and this is probably a whole another video, but before we start reviewing now, we wrote reviews like director was, musician
there
was,
were 12
this
paragraph
was,
things where we mentioned
everybody.
And that was just a format that I took from the very first reviews from another review blog that we did.
What would happen is sometimes you would miss somebody, which most people don't even care about. Well, some people would be like, oh, you missed somebody, whatever. Other people would be like, you missed somebody, and let me explain to you in paragraphs why you're a terrible person for missing this one person. And we're like, we remember the trombonist number 3, and you're gonna get on us for missing this one person.
We were very, especially for high school productions, we were very good at making sure we did the leads. We also did supporting actors.
We tried to mention at minimum 9 kids every time. At minimum. because we knew we couldn't mention all of them, and it
sometimes
still wasn't enough.
And sometimes we just put the cast list and we just put that up because this whole ensemble was amazing.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times, and so especially in children's theater and like high school theater, it got very telling on you as a director that all of a sudden, when we were giving a glowing review of your kids, you had to have your name up front.
Yeah.
And so guess what? We didn't go back to that
our review of both of those were very good.
That
was the problem. Like, when we say this, you're probably imagining we wrote the meanest reviews you've ever heard, and it wasn't.
And actually, for one of them, we were invited there as just guests, and then we came back in the second, right in the act break, and said, "Hey, can we just write a review of this, because they're doing really, really good." And so we begged them to review, and then we did, and then all of a sudden, and so so the question is, like, do we go back to those places? And no, we haven't. We don't even tell you where they are, because
it's not worth it.
It's not worth it. And it's the biggest deal is, like, when you're that combative, it talks way more about who you are as an artist, and it talks about how much, like, we don't have to put up with that. And also, what I've said before is, go talk to the New York Times, go talk to the Washington Post, the other bigger things, and do that and see how far you get.
Good luck.
Because they're not going to listen to it. They're going to delete it and then go on with their lives. So yeah.
All right, we went over an hour.
We went really over time this time. You got to hear a lot more from us than we ever have said before.
If you sat all the way through, I'm so sorry. If you're watching this in the future, I'm so sorry.
If you really loved it, please support our Venmo. It's rolling across the screen right now.
We will try to keep doing these every other week-ish.
One of the biggest things that you can do to support us, if you don't, that we are working on getting a Patreon up. We are working on getting other stuff up. But the main big thing, I'm going to put this up and hope I do it correctly this time.
Wait for it. There,
oh. Ha. I'm going to do it one more time.
And now don't touch it.
There we go. We're trying to do workshops. We're working with someone really cool that we get to have someone facilitate our workshops. If you are interested in attending a workshop on theater criticism, digital theater, and post-geography, please email us at our email, rndyounghowze@gmail.com. If you love to support us again, our Venmo's right down there. We also have a PayPal and Zelle. Just hit us up. We'll let you know. Say goodnight, Dana.
Good night, Dana.